Okay, we're here today with Bill Russell. He's come to the Black Hills Playhouse this year to direct Oklahoma, which is a bit of a surprise for us because he's kind of known to be the more edgy type. And we're going to be very anticipatory as to what he's bringing to Oklahoma. But in the meantime, we're going to start with where it started for Bill. What is your background with the Black Hills Playhouse?
Well, I grew up in Spearfish, and as a teenager, my church group every summer would do an overnight excursion to the Playhouse. One of the people who ran the group had a cabin near Pactola, and we'd all camp out there overnight. And I saw several shows here that really were formative in my love of musicals.
So, for my tribe, my music tribe, I've been in rock bands, my seminal moment was the Beatles, and for some it's Nirvana or what have you. So what is your seminal moment in theater where you said, I have to do this?
Well, I did have those same musical influences, the Beatles, Joni Mitchell, Paul Simon, all of those, that music spoke to me more than musical theater. But then when I was in college, I was working outside of New York City in the summer, and I was absolutely transfixed by Hair, the original production. I went into the city every day off, and I saw that production 7 times, and it inspired me to want to write a rock musical. And I did.
And you did, okay.
And it was performed at the University of Kansas, where I was transferring, and it won a national award. And
wow.
Then, I went on writing musicals after that.
Yeah. So then, let's see. So you're in New York. Is that correct to say
Yes,
that you were working off Broadway, on Broadway? Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, I moved to New York 40 years ago, and I had spent a lot of time there, so it wasn't a huge adjustment, and I had a job when I moved there on Broadway, of all things, directing the comedy team I had put together. And, I love New York. I love the theater and the connections there. So I do work off Broadway and on Broadway, but also in London quite frequently and around the country.
Wow, so you've got a lot of experience, but something brings you back to the Playhouse. What is that?
Well, 2 summers ago was my first summer working here because Dan Workman, who's the artistic director, decided to include pageant in the season, and I'm one of the authors of the show, and I've directed it several times.
Can I just interject something?
Sure.
That's one of my favorite shows, one of my family's favorite shows. We came and enjoyed it so much. Your humor is, it really resonated with us.
I'm so glad. I mean, I think there was a bit of a question, is this too edgy for the Playhouse? But no, it turned out to be just a wonderful experience, and I'm still, 2 years later, getting such great feedback from people who saw that production.
Loved it. Yes, so I understand you're working on some new stuff now?
Right, I just had a show, a musical called Unexpected Joy, for which I wrote the book and lyrics, and actually it's with the composer of that very first musical I mentioned. This is our 5th show together in as many decades. Janet Hood, love her music. And that was just off Broadway. It's opening in London in September, and we have an album, an original cast recording coming out next month.
How exciting.
Yeah.
So now you're here for Oklahoma. So let's talk a little bit about what are you changing up? What are you bringing to that show? Because this is going to be, I think it's going to be a little bit of a fresh take.
Absolutely. This is not your grandfather's Oklahoma. It is the 75th anniversary of the show. I've always liked the show. Dan announced the season last year, and I wrote him an email and said, I really want to do musicals with live music. They do use pre-recorded tracks here for things, which is understandable because they really can't house a whole orchestra here. But I came up with this concept of doing Oklahoma like we're in a big barn, because the theater looks like that, and we're mirroring on stage what the audience looks like, the
right.
boards and the beams of the house. So it's all going to feel like one space. We have on-stage seating, and we're doing it with just piano and fiddle.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's live music. It's a very intimate concept. The cast is mostly on stage throughout the show, and I'm really excited with how it's coming together.
And we have some people that are actually going to be from the audience sitting on the stage.
That's right.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting thing to see from an audience perspective. I'm not sure what the people will experience that are on the stage, because it'll certainly be a different experience than watching a play from the seats.
Yes, I actually spent this morning working on staging so that we're playing to the on-stage people almost as much as we are to the audience.
Oh,
we
wow.
really want them to feel included and be a part of the production. Not that they have to do anything, but just, our cast being on stage is sort of a reflection of the audience that's also on stage.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had never really seen Oklahoma. I didn't know much about it. I have to say I was rather surprised by some of the material, the 17-minute dance sequence. Are you going to approach that in the same way, or you've got some surprises in store for that?
Well, they used to write musicals very long, and there was a big revival 20 years ago at the National Theatre in London starring Hugh Jackman, which I actually saw that production, but I recently watched a film of it, and the first act was an hour and 45 minutes
man.
long.
Oh.
And I said, I just can't do that at the Playhouse, because a lot of people have an hour drive after the show.
Yes, right.
So we have also, I don't have ballet dancers. These guys are doing wonderful, but we did cut the ballet down quite a bit, and a lot of the dance stuff. It's all still there, but it's just not as long as when you have, amazing dancers to work with as well.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I just want to end up with some of your thoughts about how you'd like to see the Black Hills Playhouse evolve and stay relevant. What do you think that we could do here, to continue? Because I know we are bringing in new things, new ideas all the time, but trying to stay true to tradition as well, with working with people like you on a traditional musical like Oklahoma. Do you think we're on the right path here?
Oh, very much, very much. And there is, I think, an opportunity to experiment here a bit. There is a big subscription base here, and who sort of will support a lot of things. I mean, like I said, this is not your traditional Oklahoma, but I think they're going to feel very involved in it, and that's what I want. I want it to feel like a real community experience, and that's one of the reasons I love working here, is because there's such a community created here, first of all, with the company who lives together all summer, and then that extends, though, I think, to the audience that comes to the shows here.
Yeah, I think audiences are challenged nowadays because they're so unaccustomed to live situations.
True.
So I love the fact that you are going to bring people on stage and include people in a whole new way in this Oklahoma show. Any last thoughts on Oklahoma besides come and see it?
Well, it's just a great musical. I mean, that score is extraordinary, and this cast I'm so happy with. This is an odd situation for me in that I don't cast, because they have to cast for the whole season. They're not just casting Oklahoma.
Right.
These actors have to be in other shows. So, but I am thrilled with the cast, as I was with Pageant. Dan finds really good actors.
The casting pageant was phenomenal. I look forward to seeing, extraordinary work in this one as well. Thank you for your time. We've been here with Bill Russell talking about Oklahoma and his vision as a director for the show. Can't wait to see it. It starts July 13th. So thank you, Bill, for your time.
Thank you, Darla.